At first, caregiving responsibilities do not always look like something that needs a system. They may look like one phone call, one prescription to pick up, one bill that needs attention, one question your parent wants you to ask, one repair that needs to be scheduled, one form sitting on the kitchen counter. And because each thing looks small by itself, you may tell yourself, I can remember that. Then another thing comes up. Before long, you are trying to remember which office called, what you were waiting for, whether someone returned your message, and what you were supposed to do next. That is when caregiving can begin to feel much heavier than the individual task seemed to justify. Sometimes, it is because there is no dependable way for the work to move from this needs attention to this is finished. Without a system, every responsibility has to be carried, reconsidered, and reconstructed in your mind, and that is exhausting. A system does not have to mean complicated software, a color-coded command center, or a binder so organized that it deserves its own office. It can be a consistent way to answer a few basic questions. What needs attention? What is the next step? Who is handling it right now? When does it need to be checked again? And how will I know when it is actually finished? Without a clear place for the answers, every task can feel new, even when you have handled it before. You may have called the pharmacy, handled an insurance question, or scheduled a repair before. But if you must search for the number again, remember what happened last time, figure out what to ask, and decide where to keep the answer. You are rebuilding the process. The work does not become easier through repetition because the process itself never becomes repeatable. That can make a familiar responsibility feel strangely unfamiliar every time it returns. There is also the weight of making small decisions all day long. Should I deal with this now or later? Is this urgent or can it wait? Do I need to call the doctor, the pharmacy, the insurance company, or someone in the family? Should I keep this piece of paper? Where should I put this reminder? Do I need to follow up tomorrow, next week, or not at all? 20 small decisions can leave you feeling as though you have worked all day, even when you cannot point to one large thing you completed. A system creates defaults. Instead of deciding where to record a new responsibility every time, you already have one place. Instead of wondering when you should review unfinished items, you already have a regular time. Instead of keeping every pending matter active in your mind, you can mark it as waiting and give it a date to revisit. It is not doing the caregiving for you. It is reducing how often you make the same decision. Another reason caregiving feels heavy is that many responsibilities are not really single tasks. Call the doctor sounds like one task, but it may mean finding the number, leaving a message, waiting for a return call, writing down the answer, contacting the pharmacy, checking whether the prescription is ready, and then letting your parent know what happened. The first call may take 5 minutes, while the responsibility stays open for 5 days. Without a system, it can be hard to see where you are in that process. Did I leave the message? Did they call back? Am I waiting on them, or are they waiting on me? Did I finish the task, or did I only finish the first step? When a task has no visible beginning, middle, and end, it can continue taking up mental space long after you have done everything you can do for the moment. Caregivers also do a great deal of something that rarely feels like work: waiting. Waiting for an office to call back. Waiting for insurance to process something. Waiting for a prescription to be filled. Waiting for a family member to answer. Waiting for a bill to be corrected. Waiting to see whether a problem improves. Waiting does not mean the responsibility is gone. It means the responsibility is unresolved. And unresolved work has a way of staying in the background of your mind. You may be cooking dinner, or enjoying a quiet afternoon, while part of your mind holds the reminder that someone has not called back. A task that is waiting still needs a place to live. You need to know what is pending, who has the next move, and when to check again. Otherwise, waiting becomes another form of remembering. Caregivers also often become the connection between people who are not connected to one another. The doctor's office may not know what the pharmacy told you. The pharmacy may not know what the insurance company denied. One relative may not know what another relative already handled. A service provider may know about one household issue, but not the other issue affecting the decision. Each person sees one piece. The caregiver often sees, or is expected to see, the whole path. You are not only completing tasks, you are carrying information from one place to another. You are explaining the same situation more than once. You are noticing when one answer does not match another. You are figuring out who needs to hear what next. Without a consistent process, all of those connections depend on you remembering every conversation and rebuilding the sequence each time you speak to someone new. When one small step is missed, the absence of a system can create even more work. A follow-up call is forgotten, so the conversation has to be restarted. A question is left off the list, so another call has to be made. A paper is placed somewhere unusual, so time is spent looking for it. Two people complete the same task because neither knew the other was handling it. Or everyone assumes someone else took care of something and no one did. These things do not happen because the caregiver does not care. They happen because the work has no clear place to go. The lack of a system does not only make existing work harder, it can quietly generate additional work. It can also make it difficult to see how much is already under control. You may have handled 10 things correctly, but the one unresolved matter is the one your mind keeps returning to. You may know that you have been busy, but you cannot clearly see what is completed, what is active, what is waiting, and what can safely be left alone for now. When everything is mixed together, a manageable week can feel like an emergency. A simple system creates separation. This is done. This needs action. This is waiting on someone else. This can be reviewed next week. This does not need my attention today. That visibility can be calming, not because every problem has disappeared, but because they are no longer standing in the same doorway asking to be handled at once. Without that visibility, the caregiver can begin to feel mentally on call all the time. Even during a quiet moment, you may wonder, what am I forgetting? You may find it difficult to relax because your mind does not trust that unfinished responsibilities are being held anywhere else. So it keeps checking. Did I follow up? Was there something due? Did someone leave a message? Is another problem about to appear? When your mind is the only system, stepping away can feel risky. And rest is difficult when part of you believes that relaxing is how something gets missed. You do not need to build a perfect caregiving system. One that creates more work than it removes is not especially helpful. You do not need an app with 17 tabs or a spreadsheet that requires a training course. You do not need to spend an entire weekend organizing every part of your parent's life. A useful system should be simple enough to use on a difficult day. It might begin with one dependable place to capture what needs attention. Then, for each open responsibility, you identify the next action. Not every possible action, just the next one. You note whether the task is yours, someone else's, or currently waiting. And if it is waiting, you decide when you will look at it again. That small structure gives the task somewhere to go besides the back of your mind. The goal is not perfect control. Caregiving includes people, and people do not always follow systems. Appointments change. Offices do not always call back. Parents have their own preferences and decisions. Relatives may participate differently than you hoped. Unexpected problems still happen. A system cannot remove uncertainty. It can reduce the energy spent repeatedly figuring out what happened, what matters now, and what comes next. It can help you stop rebuilding the same process. It can help you see what is pending. It can help you recognize what is finished. And it can give your mind permission to put something down for a little while. If caregiving has been feeling heavier lately, you do not have to start by organizing everything. Start by noticing one responsibility that repeatedly creates confusion, extra calls, or unfinished follow-up. Ask yourself, why do I have to figure this out from the beginning every time? That question may show you where a simple process could help. Maybe the first step is one list, one place for follow-ups, one weekly review, one clear way to mark something as waiting. A small system in one area can create breathing room in another. And if you already use a tool that helps you support your parent, a notebook, an app, a calendar, a checklist, a folder, or something completely different, please leave a comment and share what works for you. Your idea may help another caregiver find a simpler way to carry the work. Because caregiving may still be demanding, but every responsibility should not have to begin again inside your head. Sometimes the work feels lighter, not because there is less of it, but because it finally has somewhere to go.